Hey everybody, good morning. So look at my hair. Wow, I just woke up, just about had a cup of coffee. I haven't cut my hair in probably since before Dr. Phil, which was last year. So this is like a whole year's worth of hair growth. I'm seeing less white hairs, okay? So yeah, hair's growing healthy, it's growing long and it's thick and I don't see any split ends at all, and I have not cut my hair since before last year, since last year in the spring. Anyways, so real quick, the whole thing with drugs, don't do drugs, but if you have to do drugs, do drugs. If you have to, as far as prescription drugs. But I'm telling you, there is going to be a point in time, because somebody very close to me told me that they're not feeling the effects of marijuana anymore. I'm like, damn. And it makes sense, because when your body is that efficient, and I'm not saying that you're gonna, because I'm sure it affects them, but it's not giving them the same type of, I would say, experience. Because why do some people feel anxiety and paranoia when they smoke pot? Why do some people feel like sexual when they smoke pot? Why do some people feel relaxed and euphoric or something when they smoke pot? It's because it's probably the most prevalent hormone that's like on the surface that's being manipulated. And so that's what the pot does. I mean, it releases hormones, and you can look up what the actual biochemical process on a body when they feel the effects of pot. It manipulates the endocannabinoid system, the endocrine system, and that is what runs your hormones. And so if you have specific hormones that are on the surface, okay, like fight or flight, oxytocin, um, and then maybe dopamine, serotonin, all that stuff, that is going to then get triggered when you're smoking pot. But it depends on which hormone is most present. That's why not everybody feels the same effects on pot. So that would totally make sense. Um, and it's interesting. I mean, pot is like a poison in a lot of ways on a body that's weak. However, I'm not going to test drinking Drano on the protocol to see if the Drano is going to like be totally like impervious, or I'm going to be impervious to Drano. No, that's not at all what I'm ever going to experiment with. But these types of drugs that are out there, especially like pot, which is really benign, I'm not going to test it out with alcohol, because I will never take a lick of alcohol ever again. But it would make sense around the marijuana, why that would affect somebody very differently if their biochemistry has changed. Because when you have a biochemical imbalance, there are specific hormones that are mostly present, okay? And some of you have oxytocin. Some of you have like right there on the surface. So you're always coming from an empathic point of view, the love, 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 and then you're wanting to manipulate your hormones with other types of drugs to still bring that pleasure feeling, because some people are pleasure chasers, okay? And when you're a pleasure chaser, that's going to be the most prevalent hormone, and you're always going to keep that hormone in the background at any given moment to be like in your back pocket to help you get through life, okay? Some of you are depressed, like super depressed. So when you smoke pot, it just enhances and makes you even more depressed. Okay. And so what pot does is almost like what crystals do. They reflect back the state that your body's in. And so really, truly, you have to change the biochemistry to keep those hormones now at bay. That's really, truly what the whole goal of J Juice is, to change the programming in your body so that way your hormones, which really runs everything. That's why I focus so much on the empath, because there's still some of you that I totally see that you're still coming from the whole empathic. It's better to come from really intense love feelings versus hate. But those two are two sides of the same coin, just very extremes on the actual spectrum of emotions, where we are trying to aim for and reside is within acknowledgement, without living in the world of love and hate. Okay? Because you see the hatred out there, that's obvious. And then you see, oh my God, the other extreme, which is love, which is also to me, because I feel like an achy feeling when someone just like so just their love on me. And so really acknowledgement, not indifference, because indifference is a selfishness where you can acknowledge anything as if it exists and give people their proper due. No, indifference and acknowledgement are very, very different. And so what we're trying to aim for is acknowledgement of what is, with absolutely no emotions around it. Now, obviously, I'm not saying be totally empathetic less or have lack of empathy. No, because that's also an imbalance. If you don't have specific feelings to kind of put yourself in the place of another person. And that will, those, when you are well balanced, that will be able, you'll be able to do that in specific circumstances, but you're not going to be like so extreme to where you're always feeling everything and then just taking it all in and being so like reactive to every single emotion out there. You'll learn how to put down boundaries. You'll learn how to stand up for yourself. You'll learn how to articulate arguments to shut somebody down, because it's not always about going to blows with somebody. It's not all about like, meet me outside in the back and we'll just duke it out and then we'll see who the best man wins. No, now it's about psychological and mental, I would say, warfare, because that's really what it's about. Okay, we're seeing that right now, just even in our world geopolitics. It's not about boots on the ground. We're going to have a 20,000 army come and invade us from the south, and then we're going to all have to pick up arms and go fight. No, that was like way back when. Okay, that was way back when. Now we just have buttons to press and then bombs happen. Okay, now it's psychological warfare, major psychological warfare. And that's how you have to play it. Okay, and so I think that's probably what a lot of our society is wrestling with, is we're so used to going to blows, which we are. I mean, we're seeing these kids are going and tapping into their baser instincts because they have no other place to vent their frustrations and vent their despair. So either they turn it on themselves and they hurt themselves, or they hurt other people and take them down. So we now have to learn we have to first learn how to manage our own feelings ourselves. Okay, but how do you do that on a malfunctioning body? It's virtually impossible. You can try to intellectualize, and they do. I mean, they do this in China. They put them through thought camps, brainwashing, re-education centers, and they will try to first like writing like 1,000 times, I'm going to be a happy person. And that's one way to brainwash, right? Another way is to like just constantly give them movies and radio or recordings of stuff to then repeat until it finally takes. Or they do physical violence to then beat peace into you type of thing. Okay, but we're not trying to intellectualize you changing your biochemistry. It's chemical. There are some people that would disagree with me because they're still living in their chemical pleasure centers, and they don't want to get rid of their drugs, because being from love and hate is like a drug. It gives people a reward. It makes them feel good. It brings up a pleasure. Even being depressed is like a pleasure because it's an identity. And people really, when people really adopt these extreme hormonal behaviors, these imbalances, and they don't really want to let it go, and they find ways to justify it, they're getting something from it. Now, I've learned about that in a more intellectual side, that in landmark education they call it a racket, where you have a constant complaint. These are the things I learned when I was 19. You can have a constant complaint, but you do nothing about it. Okay, or you do certain things about it, but it's not really like so deep to where you really change behaviors. You're like, okay, I know, I'll do stuff about it, but then really it comes back again to the same thing. Oh, I know, you have that constant complaint. Well, with the J juice, we're taking it past the intellectualizing, taking it past the brainwashing, taking it past all the stuff that they do superficially in the allopathic holistic world to kind of give you some tools to reach for, but the body, mind, and spirit are not aligned. So even though you intellectualize a change behavior, your mind and your body haven't really, well, your spirit and your mind haven't really, well, hold on a second. So you intellectualize a change behavior, but your body and your spirit have not aligned. And so what happens is the body still takes control, and then it affects your mind, and then all the things that you learned are not right there unless you go back to, like, get the drug, or go back to the class, or go back to the seminars and get re-uploaded with the same information, and you have no ability to really produce that own information yourself. And so that's kind of like what these seminars, like Tony Robbins and Landmark Education, all these different seminars that intellectualize, you get this aha moment. But unless you keep going back, like taking a drug, you get this euphoric feeling, but unless you keep taking that drug, you can't produce it yourself. So what the J Juice is attempting to do is have you understand you can produce your own ability to change your behavior through chemistry. And it's not taking drugs. It's not taking some kind of, like, I don't know, some class that does spiritual stuff. It's not reading something on the internet. It's actually taking an actual recipe and understanding how everything is interrelated, and understanding the manifestations when you're going through the biochemical change. And so now that I'm at this point where I've gone through some major biochemical changes, I can see through the bullshit that's out there. I can see through the fear. I can see through the psychological warfare, which is not only, foreign entities in other countries like Russia, which now people are focusing on, but it's also your friends and family that know your buttons. They know how to manipulate and control you. That's another psychological warfare that happens at the local level. So you have a state level, country level, a geopolitical level of, like, bio warfare, and then you have the local level of psychological warfare. But there's also biological warfare too, but that's a little bit different. Well, not necessarily, because the fact that there is legislation, hey Charmaine, that's allowing marijuana to be then legalized, which some of you are not going to at all, at some point down the road, are not going to be affected by marijuana. But they're allowing marijuana can be legalized, and we have so many people that are so weak with so many hormones at the surface that they already have a weak body, and they're going to be taking all these drugs and then going to allopathic and holistic to get their hormones manipulated, or having immunotherapies being practiced upon them. That's a biowarfare in and of itself. However, we're asking for it, yes. And biotech is not one to force you to change your politics. So they give you what you want if you have money for it. That's why you have insurance. You pay a premium, and they rate you and figure out what would premium be appropriate so you don't break the bank. And then you go get all your prescription drugs, your antidepressants, all of your painkillers, and you're asking for it because you don't know yourself, and you don't know chemistry, and you don't know how to take care of yourself. So you're asking some higher authority that will give you a stay of execution until you decide to pass on. Because actually deciding death is a choice in the age of information. It really, truly is. And then with your crazy, chaotic biochemistry feeding into all of the politics propaganda, the fear campaigns, the end of the world types of scenarios, you're just further undermining your ability to heal because of what you feed your mind to, what you're reading, what you're posting on the internet. And so not only is that working against you, but then also too, you have biotech and authority who you're going to, which is perfectly fine, then, not kicking you in your ass and, hey, I don't think you really need these drugs. We think you need a biochemical change, but that's not their place. Because what's stopping biotech and the holistic industry from really understanding how to change your biochemistry at the root level is that they have to then deal with pain. And the Hippocratic Oath will not allow biotech, the allopathic, the holistic, to purposely induce pain, which actually is the healing process. So if you guys are dealing with mental health issues, physical health issues, spiritual health issues, you got to feel some kind of pain. Now, I'm not saying that you like torture yourself to where you can't even function. No, there's a balance where you understand why this pain is existing to begin with. Deal with it. Find ways to manage and balance it all out. So that way you don't undermine yourself. And then you stay with healing. Because what's going to happen is when you go through this protocol with J-Juice, you're going to have periods of where it's going to be like hell. And if every single time you feel so horrible, which is fine. Okay, if you feel that bad where you have to go see a doctor, okay, fine. And then they'll give you some kind of drug, or they'll find some way to make you feel better. And then you get into that cycle and people do it, but then you see the end result. So is there a way to manage doing the J-Juice, maybe seeing your doctor, and dealing with the pain? There is a way. And some of you are still at the very, very infant level because of the fact that we have so many distractions. We have so much psychological warfare going on, perpetrated by outside entities manipulating your friends, your family, weaponizing your friends and your family against you, because that's what happens. Is that we have people that are so reactive to things written on the internet, and they're all buying into the end of the world type of stuff. And so it's been kind of obvious that some foreign entities are doing that and posting articles and saying, oh yeah, we're all gonna die in some exoplanet or something is gonna come in and it's gonna destroy us, and we're all gonna die in the next 20 years, the next 5 years. And so the psychological warfare is being perpetrated by an outside source, then going in and then getting into the minds of you and your friends and your family, because guess what? The internet and social media is like listening to a podcast. It's like you are being completely biochemically changed by what that person is saying. I went through it when I was doing the satellite radio, listening to Alex Jones. I filled my brain with all of the conspiracies. I filled my brain with all of the holistic stuff. And in essence, I brainwashed myself because I was listening to InfoWars every single day. I would YouTube it. I would listen to his transmission. I did that also with Howard Stern. I would every morning during the time when I was going to school at City College of San Francisco, every morning before my class, I would get up at 5 or 6 in the morning and turn on Howard Stern. And then that would then mold me and mold my day and mold, a lot of stuff, because that's how personalities, and that's how even depression and other types of physiological issues also get triggered, is because of what we feed our brain. And it's a drug. It's hard to give up your drugs. I'm telling you guys, at some point you're going to be impervious to the psychological warfare, the bio warfare, the drug warfare. And you're going to have such an efficient body. That's what you have to look forward to. But you have to get through the initial process first. Okay, you're going to be ugly in the beginning when you're doing J-Juice. Everything is going to suck. That's why this is not very popular. That's why I get a lot of flack, because people want to be pretty without earning it. They want to be all healthy and well balanced without earning it. Sorry, hun, but I came from a bootstrap mentality household. My mother, bootstrap mentality. She says, you earn what you want in life and what you need in life. Okay? You earn it. Nothing comes for free. And even if you pay for it, it doesn't mean you're going to get what you think you want. You're getting a stay of execution if you're going to pay for a shortcut. At some point, you guys are going to have to face your demons. And some of you won't face your demons. And it's going to suck, because you've been given this opportunity to face your demons, to be the ugly duckling for a certain amount of time. Because eventually you're going to be beautiful in the way that you think you're beautiful. I mean, you all are beautiful in your own way. But you know that you're dealing with some stuff that's making you ugly. Because, you're trying to change your biochemistry. You're on my Facebook for a reason. You're trying to change something, but man, you're battling those demons, and that's freaking hard. But at some point, you're going to have to face your demons, and you're going to have to extricate yourself from the psychological warfare that's all over the internet. And some of you have a hard time with it because some of you are still drug addicted to your marijuana. You're still drug addicted to a lot of different things. You're still into the fear porn, into the end of the world scenarios. You're still buying into the politics. I mean, it's very difficult to actually extricate yourself from these drugs that are out there, because drugs don't always come into like some pill form or a plant. Drugs also come into what you feed your brain. Okay, so if you truly want to change your biochemistry, you got to do the J juice to help you in that transition process. And if you're not doing J juice, it's going to be very difficult for you, even if you say, okay, I'll stop fear porn or stop doing the drugs, stop doing this. If you're not doing J juice, like changing a diet, it's only going to be temporary. And then you're going to fall off the wagon, and then you're going to feel even more depressed. You need the J juice to help you in the transition of behavioral changes, because now you're not only doing behavioral changes, but now you are tapping into the biochemical changes, which is the root cause of why you're doing the J juice to begin with. Biochemistry it's chemical. It's not spiritual like others want to say. There's no like separation of spiritual and chemical. Spiritual, it comes from the chemical. Spirit is energy. Energy is not, you can't create energy and you can't destroy it. It manifests, okay? Energy manifests based upon what you feed your brain and what you feed your body. So if you truly want to manifest a different behavior, a different physiological makeup, a different everything than where you are today because you're not happy, you have to bring in the elements, the correct elements. Okay? And we have figured out these are the correct elements: the cabbage, water, and salt. Probiotic. You understand that too much lactic acid, you have electrolytes to offset it. It's already been substantiated with PubMed academia. Okay? With the salt, what offsets the salt? It's the water. We need micro and macro nutrition. Okay? Through this whole journey of J-Juice, we have gone from the micro, understanding cells, understanding bacteria, understanding the different hormones, understanding sugar, understanding salt, understanding trace minerals, breaking through the language and the vocabulary deception. Okay? And so that's the micro. That's the micro. Then you have the macro. How does it all actually work together? So when we were compartmentalizing the probiotics, lactobacillus, telling you which probiotic is the correct one, because not all probiotics are created equal. And then we isolated the macro, micronutrition, even broke down what vitamin A, B, C, D, and E. It's actually specific nutrients that trigger hormones, that bring up hormones, suppress them, whatever, based on the biochemistry. So we've broke that down. Then we broke down the water. Why water is so necessary in this protocol. We broke down the salt. Why salt? And the trace minerals. Why is salt necessary? We need trace minerals. There's an elemental composition of the human body. We need salt because salt is the energizing force. Salt is in everything, and salt is usually a preceding element of like another element that it's trying to energize. So when you hear about sodium fluoride, and there's a whole fear of sodium fluoride, you're like, oh my God, the sodium fluoride is going to kill us. Oh my God, the mercury is going to kill us. Well, sodium fluoride is basically the salt energizing the fluoride. But yeah, you have just a condensed concentration of sodium fluoride is going to be acid. But we're not drinking straight up sodium fluoride. We're not taking just concentrated sodium fluoride and that's it, nothing else in our toothpaste. But I'll tell you what, you'll see the holistic world and the allopathic world, or all the crazy conspiracies, will isolate each element, to no different than people who hate J-Juice. They'll isolate the salt and say that's the only thing that's being presented to you in the J-Juice. It's all about just the salt. That's it. Like, and what happens is when people already have a biasness, of fear, and then they read articles that already are coming through a filtered intention, fear, propaganda type thing. They're going to fill in the blanks. Okay? That's what we see in psychological warfare, is we have people taking specific sequence of events or specific things and twisting it for their agenda. And then they rely on the people who are mostly not really educated to then fill in their own blanks. And then this is how rumors get started and become a truth when they're not a truth. It's because people have filled in their own blanks. No one's asking the questions because the questions aren't being asked in the articles. But the writer knows intuitively, subconsciously, that the reader is going to fill in their own blanks. And since we have a mostly ignorant society, mainstream society is afraid of salt. So they're going to fill the blanks. Oh my God, jelly juice is going to kill everybody because of salt. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? Cabbage, water, and salt. You're afraid of cabbage, and you should be more afraid of the Ebola virus on your weak ass body than the salt. Because guess what salt's balancing force is? It's water. It's H2O. But see, that's what I'm saying. When you have a biochemical imbalance and you're filling in your own blanks, you can't penetrate. That's a programming that you can't penetrate unless that person finally just shuts the fuck up and reads and gets away from the people feeding them this crazy information. And that's like for you guys. When you guys are still on the politics and the end of the world and, oh yeah, we're going to have some planet come and crash into us and we're going to die tomorrow. You're feeding your brain some really like deadly stuff. Okay? When you're afraid of GMO, when you're demonizing food, when you're saying, oh, everybody's fat because of the food supply. No, you're fat because you have a biochemical imbalance. And you haven't changed the programming in your food supply, which will translate into your body. Because when I do the J juice, you know where obesity comes from? It comes from an imbalance of your hormones. When I do the J juice in the beginning, I noticed the first thing was my fat cells shrunk and my water weight completely disappear. I started seeing I was wearing pants or jeans I hadn't worn before. I was seeing a major difference in my weight. The food supply, processed foods, is not the enemy, okay? It's only an enemy on an imbalanced body. You realize that I eat processed foods now. I eat meat now. I eat processed foods. I eat milk. Anything that's FDA approved or a fruit and vegetable, I can eat. I'll even eat Cheetos, but I don't eat a whole bag of them. But I'll eat like maybe 10 Cheetos. I'll eat some macaroni and cheese. I'll eat some fried chicken. I'll drink the J juice. And guess what? I shit it all out the next day. Because my body is so efficient that it takes the minerals, because there's actually nutritional benefit in processed foods. Because remember, we're built with an elemental composition of the human body. This is what we're built with. Okay? And guess what? Cheetos is a mineral, has minerals in it that your body needs and can process. And then anything excess, your body will get rid of through its excretion process. Oh no, but you have people out there that want to demonize food. They want to demonize Monsanto. They want to demonize Roundup. They want to demonize the air, the water, the chemicals. Oh my God, the chemicals. You know what chemicals are? Water is a chemical, just so you know. H2O, chemicals are compound elements. How they are applied, and the word pathogenic, poison, pollution is based upon how it impacts human bodies in that area. So yeah, if you have a high rate of cancer in an area, it's because you have very unhealthy people full of viruses, which we're all exposed to, that aren't taking care of themselves to then live symbiotically with the viruses and their bacteria. And so you bring in an element that's going to further weaken them because they already have a mineral imbalance. So you bring in more minerals, guess what? It's going to then cause more imbalances, and then it's going to weaken the body, and the viruses that you have, no matter what, you can't get away from viruses, they're going to take over and destroy a person. But hey, if you understand the elements and you're saying J juice, you can actually bring in elements to counter anything that's out there. Now, obviously, if you're in a gas chamber, it's going to be very difficult I would not, and they're not doing that. They're not rounding us up and taking us to gas chambers like they did back in the Nazi World War II days that everybody wants is so fearful. Oh, the FEMA caps. You know what's so ironic? Back when I was in the Obama years, when I was in my conspiracy world, back in 2010, 2011, when I started doing the conspiracy stuff, the fear of the conspiracy people was that we were being rounded up in the trains, in the FEMA camps, because of FEMA caskets, and they were going to detain us and put us in these underground jails and ship us off and then kill us all. Well, it's so ironic, and this is to the right, because, you know, Obama was the left, so the right was thinking this was going to happen, this is what they're going to do. Now the left, it's happening to the left in a lot of ways, but it's happening to the immigrants. The irony doesn't escape me. Every single fear that we have, it's going to come into fruition. It's going to be something that is going to be played out because we've already put that out there. So every single thing that we put our mind to, and then we go and then talk about it and react to it, which I do too, but I'm trying to expose it so you guys understand, you know, eventually. I mean, because really, when you think about it, I forget actually, I'm more exposing the fact that our media and that has been compromised, that's been manipulated by outside forces, are causing infighting, is then causing these people to then do things out there, the activists. So that's what I'm exposing, not so much of the fears like the FEMA camps and the FEMA caskets, and we're going to have this big, huge, you know, catastrophic natural disaster, which is huge in the conspiracy world. But because, you know, you can't control. I mean, look, our Earth is going through so many different changes, okay? So you can't control what it's going to do. You know, volcanoes, earthquakes, you know, I'm sure man has helped a little bit of some of these things, but we're going to anyways. I mean, Earth is going to do what it's going to do, and then we have to adapt to the changes, and that's really what it comes down to. So I guess my whole point on this is that let's stop creating and bringing into fruition the fears that you have, especially that's being outlined in the conspiracy world. Don't beg for the fall of society. That's what happened with me too in the beginning when I was doing the conspiracy stuff. I couldn't wait to be vindicated, be like, okay, I can't wait till the dollar drops and we have the fall of societies. And then you guys know I'm not crazy. See, that is the psychological warfare where you're actually praying for the disaster to happen that you've been talking about, that you've been fearful of. Because now you don't want to be deemed as crazy. You now want it to actually happen. And that's scary. That is a psychological manipulation. Because then if it happens and you're vindicated and everybody can stop calling you crazy. So people can't wait for all of these crazy things to happen. Because then they're like, oh yeah, I'm vindicated. I wasn't as crazy as you guys thought I was. You see how fucked up that is? And that's what a lot of you who are still playing the conspiracy, oh, the fear of the end of the world, that's what you guys are playing with. You're putting that out there in the universe. And then I got to go and counter that shit. Let's stop having to counter the negative crap, which you know negative stuff's going to happen. But let's stop asking for extreme upsets of homeostasis and just get your body right, okay? And then exemplify what a well-balanced person would do. Change the conversation, change your focus, change your life goals. Stop looping in the same bullshit or pretending that you're trying to be neutral, but still, you know, I mean, that's how creative, see, this is the thing. I was watching this Netflix video about creativity, and creativity comes from desperation. So artists that are out there are desperate. They have imbalances. People that have the fear are creative, because when you have a fear, you're going to make up and fill in the blanks of why and to justify your fear. So when you read an article, you're going to be like, oh my God, and then things are not being said, you're going to fill in the blanks, and your creative mind is going to then create this whole thing of and make the article worse than it is. The article's pretty bad, but your creative mind, in your fear, in your desperation, is going to now create some major scenario that doesn't even exist. Artists do the same thing. That's how they're able to manage their post-traumatic stress, is through their art. Okay? So no different than when somebody is creating and manifesting really fantastic stories and their takeaway from an article that's meaning to go totally demonize somebody, they're going to now create this bigger version of the story, enhance and I don't know, there's another word for it. They're gonna make it worse. They're gonna oh God, I want to think of that word. I forget, but it's okay. But they're definitely gonna make the story more fantastic. Exaggerate. Thank you. I knew my brain was gonna work somehow. But they will exaggerate the contents of that story. And then it's going to run through their fear and their imbalances. And now, guess what? The story that was saying, okay, this person died and this person this, and now this person's a cult leader that was affiliated with this. And now, and she's running this big cult out there in Ohio, and she has a compound, and all these people are praying to her and doing all. I mean, I'm telling you, this is what happens with the creative mind. Is that they exaggerate and make things worse than what it really is. And so that's what a lot of you are doing when you're reading all these crazy stories from the Russians, which, hey, that's pretty smart. They're doing the psychological warfare like that. I mean, it really sucks because you guys are weak minds are going to then exaggerate everything that they're saying and doing. And now this is going to become a reality in your head. And then it actually becomes a reality through action. And then you see it happen on the street. Okay, so the creative mind can conjure up anything that it puts its focus to. And then what happens, it infects other minds. So all of your fear about the end of the world, about the fall of society, about the conspiracy stuff, not only is being gobbled up by other people that are fearful with a creative mind to exaggerate things, now someone is actually going to act upon it. So watch what you say. Watch what you focus on. Watch what it is that you're putting out there. Because what you put out there, you can't take back. It's out there. So, I've learned a lot. What I put out there, it's very hard to take back. And I still get bit in the ass for some stuff that I said back on Dr. Phil. But I've redeemed myself, and I've done videos that say, okay, I thought it was this, but no, it's this. And that's what scientists do, really, when you think about it. They may have a hypothesis of this, but then new information came in and it changed their hypothesis. It changed the outcome. It changed the whole outcome. And so they go and correct themselves. Okay, so I've done that. But still, what you put out there, either you go and acknowledge that you're putting out some pretty crazy, nasty shit out there that's going to cause more issues, or you pretend that you have no responsibility for your community and you'll just do what you do. The fear porn, the addiction to the drugs and all that stuff. So it's all up to you. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So at some point when you do the J juice, you will be immune to the psychological, biological drug warfare that's out there at some point. But some of you are so in it that you can't see yourself in it, and you're going to exaggerate it and make it worse. And then your desperate creative mind is going to make things worse. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, right now I'm on the sidelines. I'm watching the news, and I'm just like, wow. It's like watching the news and watching TV and watching all of you guys. It's really fucking fascinating. It is so fascinating. It's like watching, I don't know. It's like watching mice go through their daily life. What stimulus is going to affect them? You do this and then they go this way. You do this and they go this way. You're just like, it's a trip. Right? So hopefully you guys get to a point where you actually can watch the people around you without taking part in the drugs. Because really is. News is a drug. All of the conspiracy stuff is a drug. Your end of the world stuff is a drug. Drugs are a drug. And at some point, hey, Esmeralda, you're going to be watching from the sidelines and doing your own thing. And you'll be like, wow, I see where Jillian's coming from. I get it. The creative mind is very powerful. Desperation equals creativity. And then you start seeing very beautiful things like Chihuly, or you see very ugly things like school shooters. Esmeralda, no comments from the peanut gallery around the news thing, okay? You came in really late, so just chill. All right, so when you have the creative mind, which is from a desperation and imbalance, beautiful things are going to be created, but also ugly things. So at what point in our society are we going to have a middle ground? Okay, and so this is why I say, you guys, watch the news when you are finally well balanced, because you will see all of the ugliness and the beauty, and you realize it comes from hormonal imbalances. Artists to racists and shit disturbers are coming from imbalances. You will see that. But if you don't watch the news, if you don't look at the media, you won't recognize this stuff. Because if you stick your head in the sand and not face up to what you've created in society, because a lot of you have created this crap in society. You've taken part in it. I have too. Don't pretend it doesn't exist, but at least recognize it for what it is. So those that say, oh, I don't watch TV, or I don't watch Netflix, which I did too for a minute, but now I have Netflix because it's given me more insight, especially watching that Netflix show about creativity. Because it's true, creativity comes from desperation. And these artists have been through some major shit in their life. And the people that go and shoot up people have been through some major shit in their life. And they're acting it out. Okay? When I was going through my own turmoil, I was very artistic. But I'm telling you, it's very true. Artists have come from imbalances. But will there become a point where we can actually have art without people who are imbalanced and desperate? Okay? Will a well-balanced person still be creative? I would say yes, but in a different way. It won't be so extreme on either end of the spectrum. It won't be so hateful where you're hurting other people purposely. And it won't be so beautiful that you are sacrificing yourself because you need to produce something beautiful. And I see a lot of you that are in, the art world, or in, other types of worlds where you're trying to produce, like you're on YouTube, or you have Patreon accounts, or you have, I don't know, some other stuff where you have to keep producing. Well, how do you keep producing these products if it wasn't for the turmoil in your hormones? So there has to be a way to be able to tap into your hormones to produce without sacrificing your body, mind, and spirit. Okay? So maybe it's a new change in the art world, is how do we produce art without sacrificing the artist? And that's what I see a lot of people are sacrificing themselves so they can go make a buck. We have these girls that are putting their bodies out there on the internet, scantily clad, and they're making lots of money. Well, not lots, they're making some money. They got great likes, 500 likes for their one photo. And they're to keep taking it up a notch. Okay? That's the society that we have created. So we need to now figure out how to be well balanced to where we can create and produce without sacrificing other people and ourselves. Because I when you're on the J juice, you're going to go through a biochemical change. Some of you don't want to change your biochemistry because you're producing at this level and you like it, but eventually it's going to wear on you. Eventually the devil's going to take his due, and you got to up it notch. But I enjoy looking at a lot of things out there that I know I was part of, that I created, but I can see, the patterns, and then I can tell all you guys the patterns. So if you don't want to watch TV, okay, fine, but you walk out your door, you have no idea what state of your society is in. But yeah, you know, because of your Facebook. See, even though you don't watch TV or watch Netflix, your Facebook people are being programmed. Okay, when they have imbalances, they're going to be programmed by the TV, by Netflix, by all the different things, and they're not going to have discernment. So they're going to believe everything and then exaggerate and fill in the blanks with stuff that's not being said. You have to realize that no matter what, you're being programmed by somebody, and then you're going to get the program filtered through somebody else's programming. So you're not even going to get the real full story. You're going to get an exaggerated version of that story. So might as well you just see it for firsthand, at least firsthand through journalist eyes, right? But even then, you're not seeing it firsthand. You'll never see anything firsthand. So there's nothing you can really believe. You can just kind of take it for what it is. Be like, okay, this is our society. It's becoming crazier. You think I'm going to walk into a Walmart and feel like, oh God, I'm comfortable? I'm going to be shopping at Aldi's, because at least the Aldi's, which is, you know, in my area, is small, and we can kind of see who, you know, who's coming in, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy. This is our society, guys. Now you got to be aware that all of this focus and the imbalances and the artistics and the creativity, artists are great, yes, but we've got to find a way to change the art world so we're not sacrificing ourselves. Because yeah, I mean, desperation and PTSD creates beauty and it creates ugliness. Can we find a difference? Can we find a balance in between? That is something new, and I don't know. So that's something that we're gonna have to work on. But that's all I got. But you guys have a good day. Happy Friday, and enjoy the J juice. Enjoy the healing symptoms. You guys saw what I went through. Okay, you guys saw what I went through. You won't go through what I went through, believe me. You'll have your own hell to deal with. But if I can deal with it and I can manage it at the level that I did, and I'll tell you, count your blessings. You don't have that stuff still as an indelible ink and a marker all over the internet. Most of you will probably keep all of your crazy drama off the internet, so it's not being chronicled and archived for someone to refer back to and throw in your face. Thanks, Esmeralda. Okay, so if I can deal with all of the crazy press and the people attacking and the government on my ass and all this other stuff, and you guys can deal with your healing, where maybe you have to call in sick occasion, maybe you have to go through a physical manifestation like eczema, psoriasis, a big, huge, you know, inflammation. Maybe you have to go through that, but it's really going to be very temporary. And then you get to the healing process and you get to the next level. And now it's like the whole world has opened up to you. You're not going to be on a time schedule. You're not going to feel like you're racing against time. You're not going to feel like all these things that people do in the Matrix. Okay? It's going to change everything. When your biochemistry changes, your fucking world changes. And then the world around you changes because people are taking notice. Some people won't. And you're going to watch them and you're going to be like, okay, they are an example of what not to do. This person who I can't reach, that is steadily been introduced to this, but they're doing their thing. They can't do the JJs for whatever reason. Okay, fine. You're gonna be looking at what not to do, and it'll be a memory, because down the road, when eventually, hopefully, society will be only people living indefinitely, we'll remember back when people were dying, what they were doing, what their justifications were, what we all went through dealing with that. Okay, that's what I want to create, is a society where we can look back, but never ever bring the death and destruction and the chaos into the future. So you all have a duty. Feed your mind right, but that's fine. And I understand, Esmeralda, you don't watch the news. It's probably good at this point. But when you finally get well balanced, you'll be able to watch the news in small snippets, or just to be like, wow, that's how messed up our society is. You'll be able to do a lot of different things in little bits, and it's not going to affect you. You won't have to play the avoidance game too much. You'll pick and choose, of course. You're not going to walk down a street that's violent after dark, okay? But you'll be able to watch the news. You'll be able to watch, movies without feeling like you're going to get brainwashed. You'll without being affected. You'll be able to do these things, and you won't have the negative effects. That's what I hope that you guys will eventually get to where you can actually take part in your life without feeling like you have to be sequestered. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.